One building, 6 floors, fought over for 58 days. Pavlov's house was held by a single Soviet platoon against repeated German assault. By the end, more soldiers had died trying to take it than died in the fall of Paris. Last week, we saw how 300,000 German soldiers were trapped inside Stalingrad. But how did the Soviets hold on long enough to spring that trap? The answer is one of the most brutal stories in military history. By September 1942, the Germans held 90% of the city. Soviet commanders were sending men across the Volga River under artillery fire just to keep any defenders alive on the western bank. Chuikov had roughly 50,000 men. Paulus had 300,000. On paper, it was already over. Chuikov's strategy was simple and savage. Get so close to the Germans that distance became irrelevant. His men stopped retreating. They stopped calling for reinforcements. They just stayed in the rubble, in the sewers, in the walls of buildings, and made the Germans come to them one room at a time. The Germans called it Rattenkrieg, the War of Rats. A sniper named Vasily Zaitsev killed over 200 enemy soldiers in 6 weeks. His presence alone forced the Germans to import a specialist counter-sniper from Berlin, the tractor factory, the Red October steel plant, the Barricade gun factory. Each one changed hands over and over. German soldiers who survived later said they aged 10 years in 2 months. What the Germans didn't realize was that every day spent inside the city was a day they weren't watching their flanks. The Soviets were watching theirs. While Paulus ground through Stalingrad building by building, Zhukov was quietly massing 1.1 million soldiers on either side of the German position, not to relieve the city, to close the door behind it. On November 19th, Operation Uranus launched. 2 Soviet fronts hit the Romanian flanks simultaneously, north and south. They collapsed within hours. By November 23rd, the encirclement was complete. The Sixth Army, the pride of the Wehrmacht, was surrounded on all sides, cut off from supply, and standing in the middle of a Russian winter with no way out. Paulus radioed Hitler for permission to break out. Hitler said no. The Battle of Stalingrad was won inside the city, not around it. Every hour Chuikov's men held on was another hour Zhukov had to build his trap. The defenders didn't survive despite the odds. They survived because of them. Next week, what happened when Hitler refused to let 300,000 men retreat? The starvation, the surrender, and the moment one field marshal chose capture over the pistol Hitler expected him to use. Subscribe to Yesterday's Odyssey. New forgotten history every week.